What's up, everybody? My name is Devin. I am going to be reading the news for an hour. Usually I do sports play-by-play of the Dodgers and the Lakers, but today I am going to be reading Google News. And check out your screen. You guys can follow along and read along. And I know that nobody watches these videos. Everybody watches the other videos. Nobody watches the news videos. And, for these live streams, it takes a little while for people to come anyway. So I'm just going to wait for maybe a little bit while longer. And maybe people are not here yet. But it will be, it'll be here. They'll be here soon. And I can't wait for them. Here we go. Right off the bat, talking about Trump. What a shocker. Going to refresh that just in case. Oh, and what a surprise. Now we get a different story. I don't know why I did that. I'm going to go back because it seemed like an important one. Well, I guess it's gone. Let's hope it comes back. Right off the bat, exclusive. Carter Page testifies to hold, he told Sessions about Russia trip. So Russia, Trump, and these names keep on popping up. I've maybe done, this is my fourth or third reading the news video, and there's Trump comes up by far the most. It's kind of annoying. Let's just get through him right off the bat. And yeah, at least now I know I gotta wait and stop the ads, because I was just starting to read, and then the ads would pop up midway through the first paragraph, and then I didn't know what to do. So you're better off just waiting. Here we go. Former Trump foreign policy advisor Carter Page privately testified Thursday that he mentioned to Jeff Sessions he was traveling to Russia during the 2016 presidential campaign as new questions emerge about the Attorney General's comments to Congress about Russia and the Trump campaign. So Carter Page is not denying that he mentioned going to Russia to Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General. And you know what, that seems like a step in the right direction, because none of the other people around Trump on their paperwork never told anybody that they were going to Russia or anything that they were doing. Like Kushner, for example, every form that he filled out, he did not say he had anything to do with Russia. It seemed like every form was the least common denominator, and the fact that Carter Page told people that he was traveling to Russia at least is a step in the right direction. But I'm just gonna read less commentary. During more than 6 hours of closed-door testimony, Page said that he informed Sessions about his coming July 2016 trip to Russia, which Page told CNN was unconnected to his campaign role. Page described the conversation to CNN after finished talking to the House Intelligence Committee. Sessions' discussion with Page will fuel further scrutiny about what the Attorney General knew about connections between Trump and Russia. The communications about Russia that he did not disclose despite a persistent line of questioning in 3 separate hearings this year. I'm going to read that paragraph one more time. It seems important. Sessions' discussion with Page will fuel further scrutiny about what the Attorney General knew about connections between Trump campaign and Russia, and communications about Russia that he did not disclose despite a persistent line of questioning in 3 separate hearings. So, you know what? This sounds like a major he said, she said. Representative Mike Conway, the Texas Republican who is leading the House Intelligence Committee's Russia probe, confirmed to CNN that Page told the committee he had informed Sessions about his trip through, though Conway downplayed its significance. So I don't want to get too into this about the Russia stuff. It's without a doubt, here's what's going on. Without a doubt, Russia hacked us big time, and they basically infiltrated our system. They could not have had any more of an impactful hit on our system, and it was a great, and they trolled us big time, and it's just kind of like counterintelligence, and they won, and they used Facebook, and they decided Trump should win. Now they definitely did that. So no matter what, now they're just gonna have to try to figure out who knew that Trump knew that they were doing that. And there doesn't, what kind of scares me a little bit is I think that it's going to be very, very hard to prove collusion when everybody is saying what they're doing out loud, including Russia, and then Trump saying, "Yeah, go hack her." I don't know. It seems like it's hard to prove collusion in a space in which you go on TV and tell everybody exactly what you're doing. We're gonna move on. Probably nobody's here yet. You know what? It feels like I got off to a bad start. Let's see. Is anybody here? I doubt it. Where is everybody? And nobody is here. Usually people come by now. How long have I been going? All right. I'm just gonna move on. Here we go. Moving on. What happened? See, this is a restart of my other reading the news video, and I was doing that one, and I had people there. Then I was like, you know what? I can do that better. And then I restarted it, and now nobody is here yet, and it's probably because I did that. I am going to move on, and I don't really understand totally what's going on with this guy, Carter Page. This is the first time that he's popped up in the news since I've been doing this on YouTube. But it sounds like him and Sessions, and it sounds like everybody now has to come clean about Russia. And Robert Mueller seems to have, he seems to have been the right man for the job. And the fact that the guy that's in there is the successor, or Comey is his successor, I don't know. It seems like he's going to be very pissed off about the treatment of Comey, James Comey, who was just a kind of a nice guy, FBI director. He was a bit of a yokel, but you should have seen him at his hearings when they were investigating him getting fired and what Trump said to him and the proposition and how he just wasn't comfortable with everything. In the end, Comey got fired, but when he was in front of the principal's office, so to speak, in one of those hearings and everybody was talking to him, he just wanted his job back so bad. The only thing he wanted was his job. He was appointed FBI director, which is 8 years, and it's supposed to last through presidents. So, like, there isn't, like, any collusion or anything like that going on. It is basically one of the safest jobs in all of government, I am sure. He's got it. He's so happy. He's a career FBI man. He worked under Mueller. He can't believe how lucky he is to have that job. Trump comes into office. Things start getting a little hairy. He now all of a sudden is dealing with Russia and computers, and it is not good. Trump calls him in. He is very uncomfortable with Trump. Trump is not professional. Comey doesn't know how to handle it. Comey says the wrong things twice to the internet. Maybe messes up the Hillary thing. Boom, he's fired. He was not really supposed to be able to get fired over stuff like that. From his perspective, it was really bad luck. Really, really bad luck, and the only thing he cared about is his job. He got fired, and now Mueller is on the job, and Mueller knows Comey, and Comey came in after him. So I think Mueller is going to try to score one for the team, and let's hope that he can find some evidence and get something solid, because, you know what, maybe they don't get Trump, but let's hope that what they do get is very solid. And you know, these investigations take a long time. It's not a surprise it took almost 10 months or a year till they arrested Manafort, and Manafort has been dirty for like decades. If that took a year to uncover, this is going to be a pretty long investigation, and let's just hope that whatever they get is actually good information and they can open and shut cases. It's not a drain on resources to prosecute them, and we figure out exactly what happened. We're moving on. Wow. We read about Bowe Bergdahl a couple videos ago, and let's see what happened. It was a tough situation for the judge. Bowe Bergdahl gets dishonorable discharge. Trump criticizes sentence. Oh, okay, well, if Trump is criticizing the sentence, then Bergdahl is happy about that. Let's see. Fort Bragg Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl, who walked off his army base in Afghanistan in 2009, was held... Oh, see? That's what happens. By Taliban for 5 years, was ordered to be dishonorably discharged from the army by a military judge on Friday, but received no prison time for desertion or endangering troops. That is a 100% win for Bowe Bergdahl, if there is even something that could be considered a win for Bowe Bergdahl at this point. I even said on the stream, I hope he... 1 year. 1 year would... That's it. Anything more than that would be very, very sad, and no prison time is even better. He was a very young man. He didn't know what he was doing. No prison time for Bo Bergdahl. That is great. And guess what? Bo Bergdahl is like, you know what, Trump? You can say whatever you want because I'm not going to jail. At a sentencing that took only minutes, the military judge Jeffrey Nance of the Army also reduced Sergeant Bergdahl's rank to private and required him to forfeit $1,000 a month of his pay for 10 months. Prosecutors had sought 14 years in a military prison. Yeah, that is this is a perfect indication that Trump and what he says means absolutely nothing to the institutions and the world and the daily life that we have. What he says tweeting means nothing. He's only doing it for the media exposure. And let's take a look at this tweet. The decision on Sergeant Bergdahl is a complete and total disgrace to our country and our military. Now, the problem is that the military probably agrees with him. But this is, who cares what he says? This means nothing. This is designed to land directly in the center of a fission in the culture of our society, and then have people look at it and talk about it. This is a perfectly designed piece of writing that does a job to make some people mad, some people happy, and to stoke the fire. That's exactly what he does. So only look at those tweets like that, and now I'm just mashing everything. Let's just read a little bit while longer. There's going to be nothing left here. Nance did not explain his reasoning for the sentence, which will be reviewed by General Robert B. Abrams, who convened the court-martial and has power to lessen the punishment. If the final sentence still includes a punitive discharge, it will then automatically be reviewed by the United States Army Court of Appeals. Politics have dogged the case from the start, and the Obama administration embraced Sergeant Bergdahl. The National Security Advisor Susan E. Rice said, I'm going to go down here. Where was I? Politics have dogged the case from the start. The Obama administration embraced Sergeant Bergdahl, the National Security Advisor Susan Rice. Anyway, he's out. We're done with Bo Bergdahl. That's good news. Listen to the podcast. Just put in a Google Bo Bergdahl podcast, and it'll come up. It'll explain way more than me, but he suffered enough. And if anything, the Army and the government itself learned a lesson on how to deal with these situations in the future. At least Obama was able to figure it out. They got Bergdahl back. It cost five of them. It was a 5-for-1 trade, but at least we got him back. And let's hope the Army learned something. And you don't go 100% full on force looking for one guy because it says that you're supposed to do that, and that's how they live. Maybe they shouldn't have gone so crazy looking for him because it did cost a lot of money. Spain issues warrant for Catalan leader. You know, I told you guys I wasn't interested in Spain, but every single time it comes up, and this guy's got a cool last name. I think we're Team Puigdemont, if I remember correctly. Let's read the article. Spain issues arrest warrant for Catalan leader. Catalan leader. Madrid, Brussels, routers. Spain on Friday issued an arrest warrant on sedition and other charges for Catalan President Charles Puigdemont, who went to Brussels. Oh man, is this an ad? Come on, they're giving us an ad. This is bullshit. All right, here we go. Yeah, we're Team Puigdemont because I just thought it was badass what he was doing. Because I didn't even think that he was even allowed to do it. Maybe that's why he's maybe gonna get in trouble. Spain on Friday issued an arrest warrant on sedition and other charges for former Catalan President Charles Puigdemont, who went to Brussels after its government was sacked following a declaration of independence. You know what? You gotta like the chutzpah on this guy. That's why we're Team Puigdemont. It's just fun. A Madrid High Court judge asked Belgium to arrest Puigdemont and 4 associates after they ignored a court order to return to Spain on Thursday to answer charges of rebellion, sedition, misuse of public funds, disobedience, and breach of trust relating to their secessionist campaign. And when you put that down on paper, that looks like a lot that they're in trouble for. That reminds me of something that this kid's in trouble. He's got to go to the principal's office. And yeah, rebellion, sedition, misuse of public funds, disobedience, breach of trust. Puigdemont, maybe his chutzpah went a little bit too far, but thank goodness he's out of the country. and I highly doubt he's coming back. There seems like he's probably in Brussels for a reason. At least he was able to, if the state is ever going to rebel, and you know what, I think it just might be the American patriot in me to like want to rebel, and you know what, I tend to not like authority myself. Catalan, you know, if they ever are going to rebel and become their own country, at least this was a first step in the right direction. They saw how much it took to get the ball so far up the field. If they're going to be better at it next time. Let's keep reading. Puigdemont has said he did not trust Spanish justice and would cooperate with Belgian courts. Belgium will have a maximum of 3 months to decide to send him back to Spain. On Thursday, 9 members of Puigdemont's sacked cabinet were ordered by the High Court to be held in custody pending an investigation and potential trial. And thank goodness this didn't happen to like Jefferson and those guys, because those guys are just people that got away with one. You know what? I think that's why we're Team Puigdemont. We consider ourselves a legitimate government. Puigdemont told Belgian state television on Friday there must be a continuity to tell the world what's going on in Spain. It's not with a government in jail, and that the elections will be neutral. Okay, I'm gonna read this quote over. There must be a continuity to tell the world what's going on in Spain. It's not with the government in jail, that the elections will be neutral, independent, and normal. And he must have said that in Spanish. It's not translating right. I didn't even understand it a second time around. I am ready to be a candidate. It's possible to run a campaign from anywhere, he added, referring to the election called by the authorities in Madrid. Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy took over Catalonia. Well, it looks like Puigdemont is talking past the government, and the government is talking past him, because he says he wants to run. He's like, you know what? Just put me on the ballot. Put me on the ballot. That's all I want. And they're like, dude, did you read those charges? You were able to do that in months. In protests at the jailings, Catalan civic groups Assemblea Nacional Catalania, Omnia, whatever, whose leaders were imprisoned last month on sedition charges, called for a general strike on November 8th and a mass demonstration on November 11th. Another 6 Catalan leaders are due to testify on November 9th on the same charges. One member will be... Man, this is drama. One member of the dismissed cabinet, Santi Villa, was released after paying bail of 50,000 euros. So, you know, at least it's not that much. On Friday. The other 8 were not given bail and could remain in custody up to 4 years. Oh my goodness. These guys are in loads of trouble. They should not have, when they were figuring out what to do for the summer internship with Catalan President Charles Puigdemont. Not a good idea. Sounded good at the time though. New boost. The detention of the secessionist leaders and Puigdemont's flight to Belgium have given a new boost to the secessionist camp after cracks appeared in its ranks. Thousands staged pro-independence protests on Thursday night in Catalan towns. All right, so still drama in Spain, and this guy's gonna get in trouble. So we started this. We read about this on, I think, the very, very first one that I did, and 17 minutes in, and I've already not even covered anything. And it turns out that the guy was probably not allowed to do what he was doing, Puigdemont. And he's gonna get into a lot of trouble. His friends and associates are already in trouble, and he's in Belgium. We will, you know what? We will not hold our breath. All female police force guarding Ivanka Trump in Japan is actually kind of sexist. I am so sick of the sexist stuff. So we are going to skip that one. And I don't want to say Trump anymore. Implications of Venezuela's proposed foreign debt restructuring. Now, I don't know much about this. This is the first time I've gone over this. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has announced that the country and state oil company will restructure its burgeoning foreign debt, even as he vowed to make a payment of more than $1 billion that came due on Thursday. The announcement did not put Venezuela or PDVSA into default, but suggests that Maduro's cash-strapped government may be preparing to do so as heavy debt payments aggregate and the country's crippling economic crisis. Why is Venezuela so heavily indebted? Even though the OPEC nation was flush with cash during a decade-long oil boom, Venezuela's ruling Socialist Party borrowed heavily during the era of late President Hugo Chavez to finance generous social programs that made him popular. The country also dismantled mechanisms meant to ensure Venezuela saved money when prices were high, leaving it without sufficient hard currency reserves to import basic goods such as foods and medicine after prices crashed in 2014. Hunger and preventable diseases are as a result, taking a growing toll on the population of 30 million. I didn't realize that the country had that many people. That's a lot. Looks like they need to pay off this $1 billion somehow, and it came due on Thursday. So it sounds like it's late. And I think what they're doing is saying, see, we got the billion. Don't worry, we got at least one of the billion. But can we talk about this a little bit more? That's what it sounds like they're doing. Moving on. They'll get through it. Territorial losses suffered by Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, and this story is just about done. We're about to take back all the land that they took over Syria and Iraq. It's an area called the Levant. With new losses Friday, the Islamic State group has been driven from more than 96% of the large parts of Iraq and Syria, once held, crushing its goal of establishing a caliphate in the region. A caliphate is their own country where they have one ruler. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's military announced the capture of eastern Syrian city Deir ez-Zor, while Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi proclaimed victory in retaking the town of Qam. So we just keep on winning, and the thing is the Sunnis in the Sunni triangle of Iraq and the Sunnis in Syria seem to have a lot more in common than the Alawites that run Syria and the Shiites that run Iraq. So you have these Sunnis in the middle between these governments that they hate and will fight to the death. It's more or less the Sunni triangle, and it's been pacified, and ISIS is gone. But it's not so much like it's an army right now. ISIS is an army of people, but it's certainly an idea, and it's also a culture that has been in that area now for years. So if you're a 15-year-old kid, almost the only years that you remember of your life is of a certain culture. So the influence is going to be huge, even though we are taking the land. The land is very important because that's how they get money. But that doesn't mean that the problem is over. ISIS calls a New York terrorist attack suspect a soldier of the caliphate. Yeah, that one was open. It seems like an open and shut case of what actually happened, and it's very convenient when the guy is still alive afterwards, so you can ask him questions. And yeah, he just answered everything. The abridged history of Twitter's 11 minutes without Donald Trump. We can skip that. Virginia, New Jersey gubernatorial candidates spar over sanctuary cities as contest near finish line. And yeah, this is from Fox News. This is just going to be political. This is going to be political talking that actually means nothing because making law enforcement agencies and then prisons hold on to people that are not documented for the immigration people to come is very expensive, and the cops just don't do it. It's especially in the cities, it'd be too expensive. You can't. So the problem with yeah, let's not worry about that. That's Fox News and just regular politics. And it's the problem of what to do with undocumented immigrants when you arrest them is it's much more difficult than the story of what Trump makes it sound like, which is they're good, we're bad, we just got to be strict on them. It's when rubber hits the road, it has to do with how long authorities hold on to them for then another authority group to come get them. And can they hold on to them, and is it constitutional? And it's not. We don't even know for sure if it's unconstitutional. There's nothing illegal about being an undocumented immigrant or being an illegal immigrant. Being here without documentation, there's nothing illegal about it. And that's also kind of part of the problem, because then it's a legal problem, not so much what Trump says. Now we're moving on. Ryan urges colleagues to complete anti-harassment training. I'm glad they're learning, it seems like, just in general. And on behalf of the males, women, we're sorry. We are creepy. We're so sorry. We're going to get our act together. And honestly, just telling us exactly what we're doing. We didn't like to look. And you know what? Maybe sunlight is the best disinfectant. We're gonna get better, and it looks like Ryan is gonna try a top-down approach to getting rid of the creeps that seem to be everywhere. You know what? Certain things in life, you know, people say like, oh, kind of the genders are the same or whatever, or born the same. Well, guess what? We don't have to worry about women and mass shootings. So right there, 50% of one of the biggest problems on people's minds right now, mass shootings. 50% of the population is completely off the hook. We should give you cookies for that. The other one is, for the most part, it seems, sexual abuse and sexual harassment at the workplace. It doesn't really seem to go the other way that much. Another thing that we really just have to worry about, the guys. We're sorry, and you know what? Women in a lot of ways are way better. Moving on, October jobs report, everything you need to know, and we'll go real quick. Basically, the hurricanes didn't help the economy, but now we're back on track. We gained 200-something thousand jobs in the last report. Moving on. Chip maker Broadcom plans unsolicited bid for Qualcomm source. These tech businesses are so confusing to understand in the news because it's so hard to know what they actually do. I mean, some of them make chips, but you know, some make software, and it's hard to know what they actually do. Chip maker Broadcom plans unsolicited bid for Qualcomm source. So it sounds like Broadcom, so Broadcom wants to buy Qualcomm, and you know, Broadcom's got to be pretty big, and the names are too similar. Anyway, this is why it's hard to know what's going on, because they're just trading in it. You just don't know what they're doing. A tie-up between two chip makers would be the latest in the semiconductor industry that has been rapidly consolidating as companies try to capture a big share of the fast-growing market for connected devices and connected cars. Broadcom is speaking to advisors, and the offer of about $70 a share would include cash and stock. Bloomberg report calls. No final decisions have been made, and there's no guarantee a deal will go ahead. The $70 per share price values Qualcomm at $103 billion, and the potential offer as a premium of 26%. When the economy is doing really good, and you know it's been doing good for years now, towards the tail end of a good economy is what's called mergers and acquisitions, or what's called MMA. And MMA has been very hot now for maybe about 3 to 4 years. 4 years, and the tech startup business and just startups in general have been going hot for so long. And if there's any place in the market that people kind of tend to get worried, it's tech startups and startups in general, and if there is a bust, this is where it's going to be. Anyway, this is just more of an indication of Qualcomm, of just loads of stuff happening, big deals, and we're moving on. You know what? It doesn't feel like I'm doing a very good job today reading the news. I don't know why. Only been going 27 minutes. BMW recalls 1.4 million vehicles due to fire risk. Okay, well, you know what? If you got a BMW, must be nice. Hashtag first world problems. Check to see if you get free money. Wells Fargo faces lawsuits over mortgage and auto loans. Man, it just keeps getting worse and worse for Wells Fargo. In 2008, it was Bank of America that was super shady. But honestly, since then, Bank of America has been like my favorite. Hated them, and then after 2008, they got their act together, and Wells Fargo, or Bank of America, no problem, and now it's the other way around. And I think in the long run, Wells Fargo was Bank of America. That stuff was pretty bad, but at least they got the bailout. Wells Fargo, this is just shadiness. Wells Fargo company is facing litigation over previously disclosed sales problems related to its auto lending and mortgage business, and bank disclosed regulatory filing on Friday. The bank disclosed that last Friday. They had to. The lawsuits include two. I'll go up so you can read it. I'll always do that. So it's up on top, so you guys can read. There we go. The lawsuits include 2 class action cases alleging violations of federal and state consumer fraud laws, as well as claims brought by former employees who said they were fired for raising concerns over problematic sales practices. Wells Fargo disclosed litigation in its third quarter financial filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Quote, "The disclosures included in our filing today reflect the company's continued commitment to transparency. Our top priority is to rebuild trust, and we remain focused on making things right for our customers, team members, community partners, and shareholders," a company spokesman said. So, the third largest U.S. lender has spent more than a year trying to rebuild its reputation following a sales scandal that led to the departure of its CEO and a company-wide overhaul of its business practices. The company says it is continuing to review its businesses to root out bad practices. So, Wells Fargo they're going to fix it. They're trying to fix it, and because these banks are too big to fail, they have to. And that's kind of the problem, is that they can do whatever they want. Technology, iPhone X review. You know what? Spoilers, let's just read it. I'm on Android now anyway. Google phones are going to be the best. I'm Team Google. After years of mostly iterative design changes, Apple has changed what it means for the iPhone and to be an iPhone. Home button, forget it. Touch ID, hold that. Bezels, you know what? Who is this guy writing this? What a jackass. Chris Velasco. You know what? Clean up your first paragraph. This is supposed to be a real publication, not a tweet. Well, I didn't need to worry. The iPhone X is finally here, and while it's not perfect, it's proof that the old ways aren't the old ways. Who gives a crap? World of Warcraft next expansion is Battle for Azeroth. So it looks like if you're a Warcraft fan, they got a new one coming out. BlizzCon recap, World of Warcraft, Battle for Azeroth. And honestly, I think that we need to read Netflix House of Cards Crisis has 3 lousy solutions and 1 good one. What's going on with House of Cards? I don't know. I thought everybody liked that show. Here we go. Let's hope. Is there going to be an ad? There's going to be an ad. Oh, this has to do with what's his face? Kevin Spacey. Man, everybody knew this about Kevin Spacey the whole time, but maybe Netflix is looking for this is a good excuse to dump something that just has been going a little bit slower, has no growth, and costs more money every single time they make one. This show costs so much money now, it's crazy. Let's go. This week, actor Anthony Rapp came forward with allegations that star Kevin Spacey made a sexual advance toward Rapp when he was the Star Trek actor was 14. Spacey at the time was 26. Then numerous members of the House of Cards crew made their own sexual misconduct claims against Spacey, who has denied some of the allegations and is currently seeking treatment. The latest round of allegations, first published by CNN, adds further uncertainty to the future of House of Cards, a landmark Netflix hit that helped turn the streaming service into the content giant today. Yeah, Netflix owns everything. It's amazing that they started as a company that mailed DVDs over the mail. It's Silicon Valley. It's the way that they allocate resources, and they can pivot. So that you can literally, Netflix can do something completely different here soon. And they just basically, it's amazing what they did. But yeah, it seems like Kevin Spacey did something 30 years ago that a guy talked out about, and now I'm pretty sure that it said that other people on the actual show, then numerous members of the House of Cards crew made their own sexual misconduct claims against Spacey. Yeah, we gotta stop being so creepy. But here's the thing: is the show's been going on forever, and they just kept on making it. I like that everybody's coming out now, but maybe next time we should be a little bit more. When you see something you don't like, say something right off the bat, because the problem is I know what it's like. If you get away with something for years, if you get away with doing and saying whatever you want for years, it then becomes very hard not to do that, because it really is just so fun. So if you see something you don't like, just say something right off the bat. On Tuesday, Netflix and production company MRC announced the show has suspended production and noted, "We will continue to work with MRC during this hiatus time to evaluate our path forward as it relates to the production." So this is how things currently stand. Just cancel it. We don't need to know the options. I never watched one. I think I watched one episode and thought it was pretty good. More entertainment. Thor Ragnarok. You know what? We know exactly what we're getting, and we definitely want it. Hulk. Let's hope the Hulk Thor battle is great, and we got Jeff Goldblum coming. So go see Thor Ragnarok. It's gonna be tons of fun. It's gonna be 86% movie, but a popcorn flick. It's gonna be great, and I like to see just how colorful it is, and they just went somewhere different with Thor, and now all of a sudden he's exciting. Veronica Mars actor Brad Buffonda has died by suicide at age 34. Now that's sad. CMA Awards apologizes, says reporters who won't be kicked out for asking questions about guns. What is going on here? This one I'm gonna read. That might be a bit clickbaity of a title. It's because it's like a double negative or something. This post has been updated. In Nashville, country singers have long been advised to keep their political opinions to themselves, but a controversy erupted Thursday over whether journalists can at least be allowed to inquire about them after the Las Vegas massacre last month, when a gunman shot and killed 58 people and injured hundreds more at a country music festival. The genre became linked with the contentious issue of gun control. Most country artists have stayed quiet about the topic. So basically, the country artists don't want to talk about it. They just want to play their music and make their money. It's the reporters that want to ask about it, and are they morally obligated to, one, ask the question because of what happened, and two, are the artists morally obligated to answer because it's such an important issue? And this is why you just don't mix politics into stuff that doesn't have to do with politics, because it doesn't work. Like for example, you can't inject politics into something that's not about politics. This is about music and making music and being an artist, and it's not about politics. So this is no, they should not be allowed to ask about it. This is their event. They can do whatever they want, and they can ask the media and the people there covering it, please don't ask about guns because it's a tough subject, and this is not the time or place to deal with it. If you want to ask them on their own, maybe you can do like an AMA or something. But yeah, I don't think they should have to talk about it. And then two, the media itself doesn't actually. They've lost all their credibility in terms of talking about guns. Let's face it. We can say, I don't want to get into the topic of guns. It is very, very difficult, but let's move on. The real problem here, this whole story, the real problem is that the NRA, and actually they are not as powerful as you think or have that much money, but the NRA has been good at doing one thing and one thing only, and that's turning gun ownership, the Second Amendment, into a religion, basically. And they turned just the idea of being a gun owner, they turned it into this kind of culty religious thing in which the people are there's an in-group and an out-group, and I would blame the NRA. That's like the only thing that they've ever done is turn a group of people, that a lot of them using guns for self-defense, which is, to me, 100% morally acceptable. That's great. A single mom should have a gun to protect herself. A single mom should have a gun to protect herself in case something happens. What else is she going to do? So, yes, but the NRA has turned gun ownership into something that it's not. And it becomes very hard to deal with it. And anyway, we're going to be moving on. Sports. Tom Savage thrust into Texans' starting role after Deshaun Watson injury. What happened to Deshaun Watson? I thought he was doing pretty good this year. Houston, less than 2 months after Tom Savage was benched for Deshaun Watson in Houston, Texas. Season opener, the fourth-year quarterback will take the field again after Watson tore his ACL in practice on Thursday. In 7 games, Watson was exceptional, throwing 19 touchdown passes. Yeah, that's what I thought. Which tied him for the league lead. The rookie quarterback, who was placed on injured reserve Friday, totally changed the Texas offense with his athleticism and ability to consistently find receivers DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller downfield. Savage knows he cannot replicate what Watson did in the first half of the season. So Watson's had I was having fun watching him, was doing great. He's down, and now we got somebody else coming in. Sports and okay, this is one that I saw the first article, and it sounds like Patino was involved. Here we go. This is from Yahoo News. Okay, here we go. This is the NCAA. Why isn't the title coming? Oh, here we go. Here's the title. It's over here. They're doing it different. The title is Source. Now we have to wait for the ad. Source: indictments expected next week in college hoop scandal, and this has to do with the NCAA scandal in college basketball, and the NCAA and college sports in general is so shady. I am just so I don't like it, and I don't like how the administrators and the coaches and the adults have so much power over a game that other people are playing, and they're not even getting paid. Billions of dollars are getting made, and the players aren't even getting paid. It makes me so mad, and I'm glad that they're finally at least getting the shady guys out. Here we go. A federal grand jury in New York is expected next week to indict all 10 men involved in the college basketball fraud and corruption case that has rocked the sport, a source told Yahoo Sports. The grand jury action will officially charge the men with a slew of offenses stemming from a 3-year FBI-led investigation into how top basketball talent is funneled through the NCAA by shoe companies, sports agents, financial planners, AAU coaches, and assistant coaches. So yeah, basically all the people that have incentive to game the system, turns out, are the people that are around the players. What a shocker. And shoe companies, this one was, these two right here, the shoe companies and the sports agents have the most incentive to get these kids money somehow, some way, and to get value out of it somehow, some way, because the agents get paid and the shoe companies get the ultimate exposure. The charges, you can't really blame the kids, that's for sure. They should just be getting paid money, and it should be a business, and we should spend the time to do it right. And dude, you don't know what's going to happen to these kids throughout the course of their life. Maybe they're going to need the money later. If there was like a grandpa that was in a retirement home and he could make money doing something, and then the retirement home said, no, you're living here, you live here, so if you make money doing this, knitting on the internet and selling it on the internet, whatever you're doing, you can't make money. I'd be like, screw you. They're like, oh, well, you should be happy that you're even here. You got parents that love you. We're taking the money. It's just not fair. The charges are but a formality, but would negate the need for a November 9th preliminary hearing in New York scheduled last month by Judge Catherine Parker. Attorneys for the men involved, including assistant coaches from Arizona, Auburn, Oklahoma State, and USC. And USC is always involved in these pay-for-play scandals in sports every single time. I have never not seen USC in the list of teams, no matter what's going on. Pay-for-play, USC is doing it. Will now be able to begin the discovery process and properly assess what evidence the federal government has on their clients. Right now, the defense only has the charging document to go on. So yeah, the coaches and the people still don't know what's going on. They're like, what do they have on us? And now the case has started. Now they can do discovery and they can start building a defense. The judge will be assigned the case, allowing attorneys to gauge sentencing history and thus use while weighing any interest in cooperating with prosecutors. I'm going to read that again because it's important. The judge will be also assigned to the case, allowing attorneys to gauge sentencing history and thus use that while weighing any interest in cooperating with prosecutors. So yeah, if it doesn't look like they're going to do a lot of jail time and this guy is not hardcore, they're probably going to be less inclined to help out the prosecutors in getting more information. So the judge is basically all this says is that the judge is the most important part of the case. And Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. And before we can figure out what kind of plea deals or anything like that, we need to know who the judge is, and we got to see some of the evidence. It is not believed that any of the men have made a deal with federal authorities. At this time, the government is expected to seek additional information on additional names and schools involved in what the basketball world long considered an open secret but never thought was an actual federal crime. In late September, announcements of arrests, FBI Assistant William Sweeney asked anyone with information to come forward. He said, quote, "We have your playbook. The investigation is ongoing." So it looks like we're going to at least get some of the really bad behavior out of the system. That is great. But the problem is that the system itself, the incentive structure, and the way that it's structured as it is, which is kind of a kind of the old. I mean, it's not the only way to do it. It's just the way that it's structured, the colleges and the boards and the administrations, and it's very structured for the people that own the schools and the employees of the schools. And sometimes when you get an incentive structure all out of whack, there's nothing that you can ever do to completely get rid of it. And I think that it's good that we can actually like skim the top and just get the people committing actual like fraud and financial crimes. But it's not going to dent anybody at all. And the stuff is going to continue to happen because all that matters is getting wins and being on national TV. What now for Ezekiel Elliott? And this one, it sucks because I am playing fantasy football against my buddy Mike, and he's winning the league by a long shot. He's got by far the best team. Mine sucks. And you know what? I was able to get a pretty good squad together against him. Loads of stars. And I was like, wow, why doesn't this team have that many points this week? He's beat everybody by a lot. And then I looked down and Ezekiel wasn't playing. And the biggest suspended red thing I've ever seen on Yahoo app. And boom, I'm like, finally catch a break in fantasy football. And what do you know? Ezekiel's back in the game. 20 points. Like, he is so... How is he expected to get so many yards and touchdowns? Who knows? Okay, here we go. Well, let's figure out... Let's find out how exactly I got screwed this week. Court ruled Friday that Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott can play Sunday, which is wild because a different court ruled Monday and again Tuesday that he could not play on Sunday. So I got really unlucky because two courts said that he could not play, and that is just super unlucky. That's going to cost me like 10 points. If you're having trouble following all this, we don't blame you, but it's our job to follow it, so we're here to help. Here with then some of your likely questions and our educated answers. So what happened? I thought this was settled. Yeah, Monday night's ruling from Judge Catherine Fiala, I don't know, in the Southern District Court gave off the vibe, didn't it? But as long as there's another, you know what? We're done. Looks like he's playing. I got screwed. Down to science. That's great. This is the most fun anyway. And I should really just be doing science the whole entire time. Here we go. Fester MP. Is that you watching? Thanks, dude. Reading the news. I'm glad that you're the only person. Nobody watches these videos. Am I making sense? All right. Well, I'm gonna get back to the science. Thanks for watching. These orangutans are the newest species of great ape. There are fewer than 800 left. Wow. Well, there's not very many great apes, and we're one of them. This seems like a very, very important topic. Here we go. So I guess basically for a new species to start, orangutan, there needs to, the genetic pool of that species needs to be so different that they cannot mate with the other part of that species. So if there's a group of orangutans that are on their own, and then after some time they get back together and the genes don't mix and they can't have babies, now all of a sudden we have two species. And this is very, very interesting because, for example, dogs are so similar to wolves that I think they can mate. But yet they're just different breeds, but different thing. Hello, and welcome to the family. As of this week, these orangutans are being recognized as a distinct species of great ape. That brings the number to 8, the number of great ape species alive today. We're one of them. This is Team Ape. For the rest, we're Team Ape. For sure. Monkeys, funny. They're second tier though. We're apes. I hate it when people get that mixed up. We're not related to monkeys, although we are, because we're related to everything, but we are most similar to apes. We are apes. I don't see how so much of our society can't know that. It's something that we gotta just do in first grade, right off the bat. P, and these names you can't say, Tapenilius may be the newest member of our family tree, but they may not last long. Fewer than 800 of them are native in Indonesia, and unless conservation measures are taken soon, they could succumb to threats such as habitat loss and inbreeding. Read on to learn more about the fellow. Yeah, we're definitely reading on. How was this species discovered? It began with an unfortunate encounter in November 2013 between a male orangutan and a group of villagers in South Tapanuli district of North Sumatra. The orangutan sustained mortal injuries, and in a quote, orangutan-human conflict, according to a report published Thursday in the Journal of Current Biology, and that's a real publication when it comes to science. After the animal's death, scientists studied its skull and compared it with those of 34 other adult male orangutans. They found enough differences to convince them that this orangutan represented a separate species. What kinds of differences? It has a smaller skull, a shallower face, and more angled facial profile. It also has narrower eye sockets and a narrow mouth. Among more than a dozen other small but significant physical differences cited in the Current Biology report, the report authors also wrote that the call of male orangutan, I wish I could say that, Tapanuli orangutans, set them apart from other orangutans. Their, quote, long call has a higher maximum frequency, which makes for a higher pitch. It also lasts longer and contains more pulses. Can you tell them apart by looking at them? Their overall appearance were drastically different. Perhaps they would have been recognized as a distinct species before now. If their overall appearance were drastically different, perhaps they would have been recognized as a distinct species before now. They look more like Sumatran orangutans in the same respects, and more like Bornean orangutans in others. Scientists noted that orangutans have... anyway, it looks like there might be another species of orangutan, but that was not quite as cool as I was hoping. Here we go, moving on. Using particle physics, scientists find hidden structure inside Egypt's Great Pyramid. And yeah, you know, physics is just going to keep on moving on. You can't stop it. These scientists absolutely love physics. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Is this going to be... there's going to be an ad. I'm just going to get... Here we go. Yeah, the golf, when you're shooting golf, and I've done videography of golf, it's hard because you always kind of get this yellowish look over the grass. It just doesn't look quite as good. These guys did a pretty good job. And here we go. An international team of scientists has discovered a large hidden cavity within Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza, and they did it by looking for muons, particles sent to Earth by cosmic rays from space. The mysterious cavity described Thursday in the journal Nature. Now, Nature is probably the #1 legit. It's the most pop of all scientific journals, and Nature is the real deal. Is at least 30 meters long. Okay, the mysterious cavity described Thursday in Nature is at least 30 meters long, and though the researchers aren't sure whether it's straight or inclined, whether it's one large space or a series of smaller ones, the discovery has already triggered interest among archaeologists as to the purpose of the void. What we are not sure about is that this big void is there, but we need to understand it better. So yeah, you're not going to start knocking over a pyramid because you think there might be a cave inside that you never found, using science that basically might be the first time doing it, getting cosmic rays from outer space. You know, not going to knock over the pyramid or even put a hole in the side of it for that. So they need to be 100% sure that it's even there. And you know what? Let's watch this video. Let's watch this video. All right, well, this is pretty slow and pretty. Come on, guys. I mean, they're looking for. They might have found a hole in the pyramid, and the pyramids probably just get a lot of clicks. There's a lot of pyramid people out there. They're definitely the coolest thing that the humans have ever built. I mean, it's two things in my opinion. The coolest things that humans have ever built. It's one, the pyramids. They're still here. That was way before like modern history, basically. That was like so long ago, and they built the pyramids. They are still standing. I can't imagine anything more impressive than the pyramids that humans could build. And then all of a sudden we got, what could it be that we got that's probably just as cool? I would say Wikipedia. I think Wikipedia is up there with the pyramids in the best things that humans have ever built, and humans themselves, everybody got in on it, built Wikipedia. Nobody liked it at first. They're like, oh my god, you can just put whatever you want. Yeah, well, you can't anymore. You go to the evolutionary biology page, put in your own idea. Let's see what happens. Nonetheless, Wikipedia is the greatest thing ever built, and it is just such a great place of information and vetted information by somebody that's not too corrupt. I mean, we don't know, but not corrupt. And I guess you can say the internet is just as good as something to build as the pyramids, and I tend to disagree. The internet is awesome, but in the end, the internet is kind of it's once we invented the telegraph, instant communications was invented then, and the internet was just another way to do it, and it ended up being a tool. And what we did with it is what made the internet so cool, and Wikipedia is a perfect example of it. All right, we're moving on. Yeah, pyramids and Wikipedia. For me, that's as good as humans get. Women of NASA logo sells out on Amazon in 24 hours. What is this? Sales for logo new release. Women of NASA have of course. They made a bunch of old astronauts and they made them Lego women, and that is the best idea. And they should have sold really quickly. And you know what? I would buy all the astronauts of all time of Lego people. No question about it. Those are awesome. How do we buy them? Sales for the new, for the Legos new Women of NASA have already taken off. In its first day of release, the $25 set from Amazon became the top selling toy. By the end of the day, Wednesday, the sets had sold out on the platform entirely. Anyway, so they have sold out. We should get those. Those are sweet. And the fact that they're making those and Women of Science, you know, NASA has been, at the beginning, it was a total boys club, but it was different. Things were different, and women are in science right now, and I'm glad that they are. It's something that we got to work on, and all this stuff comes out in the news about, oh, Google, the guy got fired because he said something that he explained why women weren't doing well in tech companies, and there's all this noise around the issue, and there are women in science, and nobody ever seems to talk to them. They talk to the people that are not involved in science, saying we want more women in science. And then it seems like if you ask a lot of the women, they always say, yeah, we're here, we're good, we're doing our thing. And in general, men and women are interested in different things. And we should just let the chips where they fall where they may. And NASA was one of them where they just let the chips fall. Women got into the programs, and sure enough, as soon as they let women in, they were doing just as good. Maybe what I'm saying is we should not make such a big deal about it. And these toys should have been made. I'm going to go back to it. These toys should have been made on their own. We don't need somebody telling us we need more women in science to make these. These should have been made on their own. And maybe what I'm saying is that we need to get to a place where these are made because they're cool and not because Legos feels pressure about women in science and it's weird. And moving on. Good news on warming. Ozone hole is smallest since 1988. That is good news. But not. It helps. But we've known for a little while that the ozone was getting better. Higher temperatures over Antarctica this year shrank the hole in the ozone layer to its smallest since 1988. The ozone hole is a depletion of ozone gas in the stratosphere above Antarctica. The 3-oxygen molecule is toxic at ground level, but high in the... Okay, in 1985, scientists first detected the hole in the ozone layer and realized that it is being caused by man-made chlorine and bromine often found in chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, compounds used as refrigerants. In 1987, the Montreal Protocol initiated the phase out of these chemicals. As they gradually leave the atmosphere, the ozone hole will heal, and scientists expect it to return to the 1980 size by 2070. And yeah, this is... Oh, I've been going for an hour. This will be the last article. And you know what? It's a good one. It's a good one to talk about. So basically, scientists are usually correct. And what's not correct is the way that people interpret what scientists say and what they're actually doing. So when you hear science in the news, a lot of the times that's not actually science. It's people talking about something they don't understand. And we tend to live in this world where we like to think that everybody has an opinion and all opinions are valued equally. Now, that's not true. All beliefs are valued equally, and your belief is your belief, and we all have personal beliefs, but an opinion is different than a belief in that it is an interpretation of facts. An opinion is an interpretation of facts, and when it comes to science, that's kind of what they figured out. It's the system that works. Science is a verb. It's something that you do, and it turns out scientists are almost always right, and what you hear is not even really opinions. What you're hearing are beliefs, even in the news. So it's hard for a lot of people to distinguish the two. And when the scientists know something, a lot of times they're usually right. And when interests align. So and I'm talking about how you can get science and then make policy to affect change, because it's happened before. When interests align, as in Los Angeles in the 1980s. So during this time, we were just learning how bad we were making the air. It looks like the air, there's so much of it, we can do whatever it looks, but it's really not the case. It is the thinnest piece of atmosphere you could ever imagine, and when you look out in space, that is what makes us different. That the air, what we can't feel around us, that is the difference. We couldn't even be on this planet without the air. You look out into space, you don't see any fucking air anywhere. And then so they looked and like, oh my goodness, we got a big hole. We're not doing good. They went to Congress and said, oh my God, the air is so bad. And then Congress said, you know what? Our constituents are complaining in Los Angeles because they're saying the air is bad too. They got so much pollution that all the kids in the San Fernando Valley and in like Burbank and Glendale, more than half of them had asthma. In the 1980s, if you lived in Los Angeles in the 1980s and you were a kid, you had asthma. And I was one of them. And it wasn't that bad, but sometimes I would run and I would just start wheezing and it would come out of nowhere. And everybody's interests aligned, so the people everybody got sick, and they invented what was called the catalytic converter. They made policy in which they enforced regulations in air quality and air pollution coming out of the cars. And then guess what? The auto industry was forced to invent the catalytic converter, and guess what? They ended up making loads of money off of it because now all of a sudden they had this sweet new thing. But interests aligned, and we cleaned up the air in Los Angeles so much it's not even funny. And when it comes to the ozone layer, all the interests were aligned. Even the people that were making probably the CFCs, the chlorofluorocarbons, they figured it out, and we were able to fix the problem, and it has been getting fixed since the 1980s. And you know what? If it takes till 2070 to become 100% again to the planet, we're sorry. That was about 100 years. Yeah, sorry, but at least you're gonna get back to normal. And going forward, as long as interests align, for example, on global warming, I mean, a global problem takes global cooperation from everybody. As long as everybody's interests align in helping global warming, it's gonna get better. And you know what? That is good news. And I'm gonna end it right there. Thanks for listening. I know that nobody watches these videos. But we got a guy. What's up, dude? Nobody watches them. Gonna make more sports videos. I've been working on my microphone, and who knows, I'm trying to get good at reading out loud. But Fester MP, thanks for the compliment. I'm glad you're here, and come tonight for the Lakers game. It's gonna be good, and I will see you guys later.